Hey guys, welcome back to my second channel. I know I haven't posted here in a while. Don't mean to neglect it, but if you've been watching my main channel, I hope you've been coming along on all the traveling I've been doing. It's keeping me really busy. It's a ton of fun, but just haven't been able to make as much time for this stuff. But I wanted to put out a video, a follow-up video about my Spektrum iX12. A while back I posted a basic unboxing and initial thoughts video with the intent of doing a follow-up more comprehensive review. And I haven't done that yet because there were some glaring issues with the radio. And I was talking to Spektrum and they were working on them, so I didn't want to put out the video before I knew whether or not the issues were going to be resolved. The biggest issues with this radio was startup time, and you may have seen that in my unboxing video when I turned it on for the first time. It took about 2 minutes to start up. And yeah, that hasn't gone away. When the radio is completely booted down and you fire it up, it takes about 2 minutes to fully initialize and open up the actual airware software and all that stuff. The other glaring issue was battery life. The radio, you'd be lucky to get a day of use out of it. Part of that is if you would shut down your radio completely in between using it. So if you're flying and you're done with your flight and you shut it down all the way and then turn it back on, battery life would probably be okay. But that, again, 2 minutes to boot up if you were booting it up before every single flight, that would be such a drag. So what you would instead do is you would use the sleep mode function. You double tap, push a button, the radio goes to sleep, it's not fully booted down, and then to turn it back on, just one quick press of the power button, it's back to life, just like that. It's awesome. But while it was in sleep mode, the battery drain was still up there. Meaning that if you were out flying and in between each run you were sleep moding your radio, the battery was certainly draining less fast than it was if the radio was fully powered on, but it was still going down. Meaning that like at a long race event, your battery might not last you. And I experienced this firsthand at the Tiny Whoop Invitational event where we were flying all day. But the flights were intermittent. I'd fly a couple flights and then I'd put the radio down in sleep mode, come back 30 minutes or an hour later, pick it back up, do that, and the sleep mode was doing great for that, keeping the boot time down, but the battery was still draining, and I couldn't make it to the end of a full day at the event without having to charge my radio at some point. The big point I'm trying to make is that even in sleep mode, the battery was still going down, and it just wasn't cutting it. And one last minor complaint, that's probably the third biggest complaint that people had about the radio, is that the time to change models was kind of excessive. So I'm happy to tell you that those 3 issues have been resolved in a big way. I'm really excited about that because those issues, honestly, they were getting to me. And I was this close to switching back to my DX9. I was really going to go back to it when I found out that there was some beta firmware that was available. I was talking to the guys at Spektrum and they hooked me up with some beta firmware that had fixes for these problems. I had been running that beta firmware for nearly a month, and as of about a week ago, the official release of the firmware came out. To update, it's really easy. You just go to the Google Play Store in the Android interface and update it. And now that I've been using that for a week, I can confirm that the official firmware is working just as good, if not better, than the beta firmware, and the issues have been fixed. And the way that it's fixed, so the boot up time is still really long, right? Just like if your cell phone's totally shut down or your computer's totally shut down and you boot it up, it takes a minute to get going. But what's been improved is the efficiency of the sleep mode function. When the radio goes into full sleep mode, it uses barely any more power than if it was turned off. So what that means is I don't ever turn the radio off. I just always use sleep mode, which means turning it on is always that fast. It always comes right to life, just like that, and then to shut it off, double tap, push and hold, and it's off. I don't ever fully shut down the radio unless I know for certain that I'm not going to be flying for a couple of days. Like if I have travel coming up, I'll probably shut it down when I'm putting it in my bag to go to the airport, just because it's always good to shut down your electronics every now and then. So if you have one of these, maybe, shut it down once a week, just because like your laptop, you should shut it down. But for the most part, I never actually shut down this radio. I just put it in sleep modes, and I will get, if I'm flying every day, I'll still easily get 4 days of use. If I'm not flying every day, I mean, I'll get a whole week or week and a half, 2 weeks. I mean, it's almost like your typical radio that you don't have to charge more than maybe once every 2 weeks. I mean, that really solved the issue for me. It's totally usable. I don't need to worry about charging. I charge it maybe once, twice a week, just throw it on the USB charger before I go to bed or something like that. I would say that improvement to sleep mode, making it more efficient like that, saved this radio. I was ready to give it up, but because of that fix, really excited about it. So that improvement to sleep mode really fixed both the boot up time issue, because you don't really ever have to shut the radio off, and it also fixed the battery drain issue. Like, very directly, your battery life is a lot longer. And now, in addition, they also made improvements to how the battery is read, so the percent is more accurate. Some people were saying that the percent would drop off or things like that, or the battery would say it's fully charged and it would go down, and that doesn't happen anymore. The radio can much more accurately know the voltage and charge level of the battery. So since updating the radio, I haven't had any issues with battery life. It's been great. Regarding the other complaint that some people have, which is the time it takes to change models, here, let me show you. So when you go to change a model, what you would do is you would tap here, then you would long press here. That would bring up your model list. You could select something else like Tiny Whoop. Get in there. Then you hit activate. And then you gotta wait. And wait. Hang in there. Still going. We're going to be putting this in real time. Okay, now we've gotten here. What do I have to do next? Now I need to hit the back button up here. Still waiting. Alright, and now the new model is active and ready to go. That is excessive. I mean, I don't know how often you have to change models. It's not a huge deal for me, but it definitely is an annoyance. So that's one way that you can change your model, and it was the only way with the original software and firmware. But now what you can do, let me get zoomed back in. Instead of just pressing there, you push and hold. That immediately pulls up your model list. Hit the new model you want. Push and hold, or you actually just push. And it's still not the fastest thing. I swear it feels longer now that I'm trying to show you. Come on! Come on! Honestly, I feel a little silly now showing you that it still takes this long. Okay, we are successfully changed. There we go. So, it's an improvement because there's a lot less steps that you have to do, but as you can see, the actual load time is still kind of long. So I've been talking to Spektrum. They say they are working on optimizing that model switching to make it faster. And because they made good on their promise to address the battery issues that people were complaining about, I do believe that a future update will further improve that model change time. But seeing that they already made some user interface changes just to reduce the amount of steps and make it a little bit faster, that was pretty good, even though, yeah, as I'm kind of realizing in real time, it's still kind of long. That being said, the changes that I've covered regarding sleep mode and how it kind of changes how you're able to use the radio and not worry about your battery life and never having to fully shut it down. You can just always put it in sleep mode, so it's really quick to put it in sleep mode and quick to pull it out. That completely saved the radio in my mind because I really loved the radio. The fancy screen is cool to have. The interface is really easy to use. Setting up things is a total breeze. I've really been enjoying using Crossfire. The gimbals just feel amazing. So I really loved this radio, but that startup time / battery issue was killing it for me. So they fixed it, and I'm happy to report the Spektrum iX12 does not suck. So if you buy this, I'm not sure which firmware and software is going to come with it out of the box, but it's totally easy to update. You just sign into your Google account and use the Google Play Store just like you would update any of your software on an Android phone, but the firmware for the radio comes with that Google Play update. So after you do complete that update, you do have to power cycle the transmitter once, I think. Or do you just have to shut down the app? I'm not sure. There's like one extra step to get the firmware fully updated, but it's not hard. It's certainly easier than it is to update like other Spektrum radios where you have to like, you know, plug in an SD card into the computer and download that and plug it in. So it's easy. I would still like to do more of a complete review or feature description or, I don't know, really whatever you want. So leave a comment as to what you would like to know about this thing. Any questions that you have, and I can cover it in a future video. And with this, I'm gonna end it. I just wanted this to be a follow-up to address a lot of the questions that I've been getting regarding the glaring issues that plagued this thing on its initial release. It's a great radio. I do recommend it if you're interested in buying a premium radio. It is definitely expensive. So thanks for checking out this video. I will see you next time.